Welcome to the Brigham Young University Family History Library webinar series. Feel free to use the chat box for any questions during the presentation, and we'll make sure that those are all answered by the end. We also have a poll box, as you can see right up here, that has a question for feedback on the new website. And if you have any ideas or suggestions, feel free to write those in there so we can see what we can do to make the website even better. My name is Braden Knutson. I will be your host for this webinar. Today we will be pleased to hear from Bob Taylor, who will be giving a presentation titled Introduction to the Family History Guide Version 2. Bob Taylor, CEO of the Family History Guide LLC, has been actively doing family history for over 25 years. He has combined his passion for genealogy with his background in instructional design to produce a new learning resource for family history, the Family History Guide. Bob earned his bachelor's degree from Brigham Young University and a master's degree from California State University, Los Angeles, both in music education. He has been a featured presenter at RootsTech 2016, UVT AGG, and the BYU Family History Conference, in addition to numerous family history fairs in Utah. A career change led him to instructional design and technical writing, where he has worked for large technology corporations such as Novell, Intel, and SanDisk. At Intel University, he redesigned key training courses for employees and managers worldwide, as well as teaching management courses in Washington, Arizona, Oregon, California, and Utah. He has authored many online and written learning systems, helping others accelerate learning in technology, music, and family history. Bob and his wife Susie have 5 daughters and 5 grandchildren. So we'll turn the time over to Bob now and let him explain the new website for us today.
Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar for the new version 2 of the Family History Guide website. So the objective here is to take you through all of the different areas of the website. There are a lot of projects inside the website as well. We won't be going through each goal and particular area of all the projects, but we'll give you just enough so that you can be conversant and be able to navigate freely and understand the purpose of the Family History Guide website, especially if you're new and this is the first time you've seen it. One thing I would mention up front, in the URL bar up at the top, it says beta, but that's only for a couple more days. We're officially going to launch the website on November 15th, and at that point, you would not be using the word beta in that URL. It would just be www.thefhguide.com. Okay, so with that, this is the home page for the Family History Guide version 2. It's your free learning resource and training center for genealogy, and you can see that the word free is italicized there because that's important. We don't charge any memberships, subscriptions, that type of thing. All right, one thing you'll see here is select language. If I click that, I get a pop-up box that says I can select Romanian if I want to, and instantly we have the website translated into Romanian. But since I'm much better at English, I'm going to close that down and return back to English. But that's good to know in case you have friends that would prefer it in a different language, and intend to help spread the Family History Guide around the world, so we're sensitive to language translations as well. So the Family History Guide has 3 basic areas: an introduction, where you learn about the Family History Guide, projects, and training. Training we will actually address in a separate webinar that will be held. It's a BYU webinar on November 16th at 6 p.m. So you're welcome to sign up for that or check it out online later on. Notice up here at the top you also have a navigation bar with these different areas. So let's get started here with the introduction. When I click the introduction, there is a link for a quick tour. This is about a 4.5 to 5 minute video that will take you through the basics of the Family History Guide if you just want a quick look at it. And we use kind of a ready, set, go approach. This is for helping beginners kind of get a nice sense of where we're going so they don't feel too intimidated at first. About the Family History Guide, basics, and so forth. And then you learn more about the projects, and then you're ready to start with Project 1. So to examine each of these, we're going to use this navigation bar across the top here. See how these light up when I scroll across them? We can choose any of those. Let's start off with About the Family History Guide. It scrolls down here, and we've got our mission statement. So let me kind of reiterate that for you. Our mission is to greatly increase the number of people actively involved in family history worldwide and to make everyone's family history journey, and I like to use these 3 E's here, easier, more efficient, and more enjoyable. That's basically why the Family History Guide website was born, to get people involved in family history and to keep them involved once they're there. Sometimes people will get excited about family history and then they'll start seeing, oh no, this is harder than I thought, and why can't I make sense out of this, and so forth. So we want to give them the tools and resources that are going to make their experience more enjoyable, more efficient, and easier to do. Okay, frequently asked questions. We've already hit the best one here. Is this site free? And yes, it is. Question number 6 is one that some people wonder about. Does the Family History Guide contain genealogical records? The answer is no. Basically, we are like a giant traffic direction site. We don't house genealogy records ourselves, but we point people to genealogy records at Family Search, at Ancestry.com, MyHeritage, Find My Past, and so forth. And if you have other questions about the Family History Guide, there is a contact link, info@thefhguide.com, and we'll show you how to get to that a little bit later. Computer basics. If there is someone you know, or perhaps even yourself, that needs a review on some of the basics of computers, this is a good place to investigate. You'll notice as I browse or hover over these particular links, they light up, and each of these are articles or videos that talk about specific skills for using a computer, learning Windows, brushing up on your Mac skills, surfing the internet, and so forth. These are particularly useful also for older computer users. I just got back from a seminar in Colorado Springs, and one lady came up to me and she said, wow, the Family History Guide would be terrific, except I don't have a computer. And she had never made the jump into learning how to use a computer. And I told her, well, get to a library or a family history center and you can have training and free access to a computer and you're good to go. So something like this would be very, very helpful for that. Family history basics. More of us might fall into this category of needing a brush up on some of the basic terms and concepts, perhaps. Guidelines for beginners, how to get off to the right foot with your genealogy experience and research, as well as some tips on how to enjoy and be successful with Family Search, how to get Family Search partner access if you're LDS, and how to get the most out of Ancestry, Find My Past, MyHeritage, and American Ancestors. Each of those are links to articles or videos. About the projects. We talked a little bit about projects. Here you can see all 9 of them laid out here. We'll go into more depth on them later on. But just a brief note here that each project is based on goals, choices, and steps. So we take a large chunk of information in a goal, we break it down a little bit by a choice, and then we go step by step to guide you through the activity that you need to accomplish. The choices give you some flexibility in what you're doing. You can skip certain choices and focus on others. And then resources are links to articles and videos that will help you learn just in time what you need to learn. Project resources gives you more detail about the articles and videos and how to decipher and read them and so forth. And we'll talk more about tracker files, quick links, and the vault and so forth a little bit later on. But this is kind of a place where you could go to brush up on the basics of what the project resources are. Okay, we are going to skip over projects for now, and we'll come back to it in just a bit. I wanted to touch briefly on the children page. And this is a nice area that helps people actually train children in family history. We don't expect children to go on this page and know what to do, but parents or older youth um, can guide their children and give them activities to do. So here's a section on motivation and coaching, tips, and so forth. And then you've got activities that you can hover over any of these and provide basically a curriculum or activity set for children to do that keeps them involved while the rest of the family is busy doing things with the family history guide. For example, the kids can be involved in meaningful activities as well. Training we talked about as being a separate part of the website, and we are going to cover this in depth in the seminar or the webinar on the 16th, but I'll give you just a very quick look at what's involved there. We have presentations, an entire training catalog or course catalog where you can design courses to train others, and then sections that help you zero in on training individuals, families, groups, consultants, and different tools. So if you're involved in family history training, you'll definitely want to check out the training section of the Family History Guide. And of course, all of these materials and areas are free of charge. There's downloads that you can make that are all free. Okay, remember the upcoming webinar on the 16th, that's going to cover this in depth. Let's skip over to what we call the vault. The vault is where we keep a lot of extra really cool articles and videos that don't necessarily make the first cut or aren't included in the main areas of the projects, but they are very useful and you can spend a lot of time exploring and investigating here. And you'll notice that they are sorted out by category. We remember that we saw some computer basics articles and videos. Here are some extra ones for family history basics, and in the projects and so on and so forth, many other articles there. V for video, A for article. We also have an LDS project, and you're welcome to explore that if you're interested in LDS themes. Let's go back to projects now. This is where the bulk of the work gets done in the Family History Guide. Once you're familiar with the introduction, what the Family History Guide is about, then you're ready to dive into projects. So let's take a look at how they work. This is Project 1, Family Tree, and the purpose of this project is to get you familiar with how Family Search Family Tree works, how you can upload information, make changes, navigate, and so on and so forth, giving you a step-by-step approach to that. Before we examine the goals for Project 1, let's take a look at this resource area up here. We have a search bar. You can type in a search term and search across the Family History Guide website. Here again is the Google Translate language translation that we saw before, and we'll talk about the tracker link in a little bit. So let's go down here, and in this blue bar, you'll see a list of the goals that we have for Project 1. Navigate, viewing details, viewing children, other spouses, and so on and so forth. Right beneath that, we see Goal 1, Navigating Family Tree. And beneath that, you'll see choices. So goals are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. Choices are lettered A, B, C, and so on. Now, you may already know how to log into Family Search and how to move around the Family Tree screen, in which case you could skip on down to choice B and use the information there, and even skip on down to another goal and choices. Let's take a look at the types of information and navigation that are possible here. So one thing to note is that you'll see a sentence like, for instructions, click here. If you hover over that, click here, you'll notice that it changes colors. And that's how the color scheme works here. Don't be looking for an extra link or icon after this. There is none, but Again, if you're in doubt, just hover over the words and they will appear. And then you can click there. It opens up a separate browser window and you can read information about that particular thing that you're trying to accomplish. All right. Another thing to emphasize here, here's an article about getting a free family search account. So we could open that article and it goes right out to family search and okay, helpful information, so forth. Let's close that down, but it says LANG, that stands for languages here. If you needed this in an altered language, DE for Deutsch or German, you could click that and you would get a translated version. So we're trying to include as many of those as we can. And of course you'll see here this is English, but that's the way that it is in the family search version, so we go with that. So a foreign language speaking person could basically translate this page into their own language and then get some of the articles in their own language as well. All right. Here you see a video icon. So if we hover over it first, you'll see a little box that pops up and we see FS, which stands for Family Search, Family Tree Landscape Navigation, 6 minutes and 4 seconds. If we click that, we're taken to a screen where we can actually start clicking and viewing that video. So this is what we call just-in-time learning. You have the links of learning about landscape navigation, for example, right where you need it. You don't have to Google around or search or think to yourself, I wish I knew more about landscape navigation. How would I find out more? The links for videos and articles are right there, right when you need them. Okay, we won't go through all of the different goals here. I'll leave that to your navigation pleasure, but basically it works the same way. There's articles you can click on, there's videos and so forth, helpful steps, always organized around goals, choices, and steps to keep the information flowing and help you accomplish step by step what you need to do. I'm going to skip on down to goal number 9. Get started with Find a Record. This is a third-party software tool that Family Search endorses, and it's very useful. One of the things that the Family History Guide does is it provides links and some basic instructions for using some really useful third-party tools like Find a Record in your genealogy research. We don't duplicate all of the steps and tips and so forth that are on their website. We give you just enough to get going so that when you get into this a little bit more and start using it, you'll have a successful experience. And you'll notice in various places throughout the Family History Guide some very cool third-party resources, websites, and tools and so forth that are linked in simply and easily in the Family History Guide. Okay, you'll notice here in this blue navigation box there is a top and end. If you wanted to go to the end, you could click here, and since we're at the end, we'll talk about this particular bar here that it's at the bottom of every page. We won't show each of these, but just for reference, quotes. This is a collection of quotes of what people are saying about the Family History Guide. You can read about their experiences, what they found useful from all over the world pretty much, either single users or groups or family history consultants. There's a free newsletter that you can subscribe to. Family History Guide Explorer comes out twice a month. There's a link to brochures, and for this you can either print off your own brochures from your printer, or you can request to have professional brochures mailed to you for a small charge, and the page shows you how to do that. Upcoming events for the Family History Guide. Where are we going to be and what are we going to be doing with family history fairs and Roots Tech and all that type of thing. Yes, we will be at Roots Tech. We're excited about that. We were there last year and it was a great success. Merit badge, if you have family members who are scouts or know of scouts who would like to earn their genealogy merit badge, the Family History Guide has some great tips on how to use the Family History Guide to get the merit badge accomplished. About us, this is some background about who we are in the Family History Guide. I'm the CEO, Bob Taylor. We have a COO, Bob Ives, and then we have an advisory board. One of the members is James Tanner, who teaches and does a lot of webinars here for the BYU webinar series for family history. Terms of use, this is some basic rules and guidelines of copyright and what you're free to do and what you shouldn't be doing with family history guide content. And contact, that's how you send us messages for asking questions or if there isn't a problem on the site, this type of thing. Okay, so we got there by using that end link. We're going to go back up to the top with the top link. And we'll proceed over to project number 2. See, you can get to all of these projects in this menu bar right here. We're going to go to project number 2, Memories. And I won't take you all the way through it, but we'll concentrate basically on this goal box here. And I'll talk you through what's available in the Memories project. First of all, we concentrate on gathering records. These could be records that you have at home or from relatives, and then how to organize them, the photos and documents and so forth. How to do interviews with living relatives. This is a really important step in family history because, as you know, once your relatives are gone to the other side, it's really hard to communicate with them and get the family history information that you wish that you had. And then another important part is how to get your family history memories uploaded to Family Search. If you have not done this, I would highly recommend it. This goal and choice and steps, for example, walks you through how to tag and upload photos very step by step, so it takes the mystery out of it. And once you get started, it's kind of hard to stop, and it's a wonderful way to collaborate with other people and share important genealogy items online. Other things, writing a life sketch, and so forth, are all good to use. Let's hop over to Project 3, Descendants. And Project 3 has goals that help you basically identify lines to do descendancy research on. Descendancy research is kind of like taking traditional research and turning it on its head. You go back a certain ways and stop, and then you start going the other direction. So you're going more recently, and you would be finding distant cousins. And it's an interesting twist on traditional research. Pazilla.org is a wonderful website also to give you some visual representations of what your cousins and extended family look like all connected together. I would highly recommend spending some time on Pazilla.org. And that brings up the issue of, does the Family History Guide connect to sites that are going to ask you for money? And the answer basically is no. Pazilla.org, for example, and Find a Record and others, those are all free sites. Some of them also have paid versions, but you're able to do enough with the free sites that we feel that it's helpful to point you there. We never point you to a site where you must pay or must register and pay a fee or a subscription. Relative Finder is a lot of fun. Basically, it helps you find out which famous people in history or LDS or presidents or whatever you might be related to and how you're related to them. And it can even be used as a collaboration tool. You can have a group of people that you are interested in, and you can share relationships with those in the group and find out how you're related to people in your neighborhood, your school class, your ward, whatever. So that's kind of fun. Let's go over here to project number 4, Discover. And this is a big one. This is very valuable. You know, sometimes we get our feet wet with doing family tree, and we're able to navigate, we're able to upload information, make corrections, and so forth. But there comes a time when we actually have to do the research. We have to take that next step and say, okay, I need to find out who that great great-grandfather was. And so how do I go about doing that? And that's where some people will basically put on the brakes and go, well, I don't know. I don't know how to do this. Fortunately, we have an entire project devoted to research. It's called the Discover Project here. So let's take a look at the goals that we have in this project. As you see here, first thing we want to do is get organized for research. Then we want to identify a line and then form a strategy for doing research. Let's click on that one. You learn principles of effective research. So when I say this, we can back it up with kind of the best in the industry articles and videos. We've looked long and hard to be able to assemble really effective research practices in these goals and choices. So you can learn principles of effective research so that you don't end up kind of trying to reinvent the wheel or going down routes that have proved to be not too effective. You can use the best known practices to help you with your own research. Devise a research plan to use, take advantage of previous research, learn how to use names and naming patterns and so forth. Each of these articles, if you hover over them, genealogy.com, and there's lots of different items you could spend time with here. Family Search, United States Previous Research. Number 4, searching records, and this is also going to help you with Google searching, as well as when you get into searching records on Family Search, Ancestry, and so forth. What are the techniques that are going to give you the best results? How to solve problems in your genealogy and family history research. Avoiding common mistakes. Boy, this can save you a lot of time if you learn these techniques. Understanding potential problems with terms and records, using effective tools and techniques, and using creative approaches. And one of my favorites, knowing what alternatives you can try when research is slowed or stopped. It's kind of the brick wall effect for genealogy. There are some amazing techniques that professional genealogy researchers have come up with. Some of them are actually quite simple that you wouldn't think of them. Oh, okay, so that's how I would approach that. And if you can collect enough of those tips and get them in the back of your mind as you're doing your research, it can really be to your advantage. One of the nice things about the Family History Guide is we step back from the Discover project just a bit, is that you can dive into it basically 15, 20 minutes at a time. You don't have to dedicate 3 hours at a time or an entire day. You could, for example, say, okay, I want to learn about what are some common mistakes. And you could start watching some of these videos and articles and so forth, and then step away from the Family History Guide. And you will have learned some things that could take some time to percolate in the back of your mind, and you'd be thinking, that makes sense. You know, I think I'm going to try a different tack with my maternal line, great grandmother and so forth that I've been stuck with for a while. So these give you some effective tools and techniques to make some serious progress with your family history research. Catalogs, books, periodicals, how to arrange a family history trip. There are some do's and don'ts that can prove to be very useful and helpful. And family history trips can be something as close as your local family history library or around the world. All right, let's move over to project number 5, indexing. And indexing basically is a wonderful strategy and practice. Basically, you're building records that act as an index. When other people are searching record collections, they can use that index to more quickly find what they need to find. So that can be very helpful. So basically, we talk about how you get started with indexing, what it is, what it's for, how to set goals, improve your skills, and so forth. And those are pretty much step-by-step instructions. One of the things that you could get some benefit here, as well as with your original research, is learning how to read difficult handwriting. There have been some excellent studies done and some courses even here at BYU where they've put together best practices for how to decipher difficult handwriting, how to read characters individually, groups of characters, scripts, and so forth. And that'll start to take some of the mystery out of deciphering and reading some of this script that at first you look at it and you think, oh my goodness, I don't know how I would get anything out of that. But with some of these tips, you can actually start digging in and finding out the hidden clues that exist in these old records. Very useful. Let's jump over to number 6, help. Help is a more of a hybrid project. Basically, you've got how to get help for your own family history challenges and how to help other people. So get help here. You've got access, websites, and so forth, resources, and connecting with people online and so forth, family history centers, genealogical societies, how to collaborate with others doing your family history, how to share what you have, work with others, and so forth. And there's another aspect to collaboration that gets into social media, and we'll talk about that in the technology project coming up in just a bit here. How to help another person, how to publish your own family history, volunteer. If you see this O, that stands for optional, so we think that this is something that might be nice, but it's not the same level of necessity maybe as some of these others are. So that's Project 6, help. Remember that it's getting help yourself and it's helping others with their family history. One of the cool things to realize is that we are not in a vacuum. One of the fears of beginning genealogists is that they're going to get shut in a room and have to look at a ton of records and not know what to do, and they're stuck. There are many, many resources, many people across the world that are willing and waiting to help you with your family history if you know how to connect with them. So this goal gives you some of those ideas. Let's look at Project 7, technology. So we're exploring the use of technology in family history, and there's a lot to do there. Goal number 1 rather, webinars, how to get access to webinars such as this for doing your family history research, how to use tablets and smartphones more effectively. Social media. I don't know if you're aware, but there are a lot of resources out on YouTube, instructional videos, and a lot of professional genealogists and companies have created their own YouTube channels with many helpful YouTube videos out there. Here is a partial list here, and you can click on any of these and you will go to their YouTube channel for step-by-step instructional videos that are really quite good. Beyond YouTube, we have Facebook, and we're going to talk a little bit more when we get into researching with countries and states and so forth. There's a lot of resources also available there for Facebook, and we'll talk about that in just a bit. Using Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. Lots of resources there for social media. Project 8, DNA. So the idea here is to give you an overview, not to drown you in science and so forth, but to help you see the importance of DNA research and how it can break through genealogical walls, how it can help you put clues and pieces together for your own ethnicity and for relationship webs, how you might be related to other people in other groups and so forth. Interesting experience I had in Colorado Springs recently. I was showing this particular project number 8, and I asked how many people had taken DNA tests, and over half of the people in the room had taken tests. And then I asked, anyone had an interesting experience with your DNA test? And one elderly woman raised her hand and she said, yes, I took a DNA test and I found my father. Wow, you could have heard a pin drop in the room. It was amazing. At her age, she had I guess you'd call it courage, to jump into the technology because she knew that something good might happen. And sure enough, she was able to establish who her father was through DNA research and links there. So we've got the basic genetics to give you a background, how to take a DNA test, how to select one, how to interpret DNA matching results, and be able to find out your ethnicity and family relationships out of those. Very useful. Project number 9, countries and ethnic, is probably the largest project. So let's go here and we'll take you step by step. Hopefully we'll cover the most important elements here and the remainder of the webinar. So you can see here that this is divided into continents. We have North America, British Isles, Scandinavia, Central, Western, Eastern Europe, Asia, South America, and there are ethnic groups as well. Each one of these is a page with goals and choices and steps similar to those that you've seen. For example, if I click Scotland, I'm taken to the Scotland page, and I would see the same types of goals, choices with steps that have videos and links to articles and so forth. And a very nice way to organize the research, takes you quickly to where you need to go. Notice up here that you have kind of a quick menu bar right underneath the picture of the particular country. You get to click to go back to North America or British Isles or Scandinavia. I'll click that, and there's your Scandinavian resources. So for right now, let's go to the United States. And this is one of the more common ones that we will run into. And with the United States, you'll notice a couple of things that we have that are a little bit different here. Tracker. We didn't talk about tracker earlier, but this is probably a good time to talk about the tracker now. The tracker basically is a collection of the goals and choices that are available in a particular project, except they're collected in a Microsoft Word format. So if I click that, I get a file not found. That's not good. So something happened there. So we will get that fixed. That's why we do these things. Anyway, I'm going to go back to project 1 and go with the tracker here. And you'll notice that it downloaded the tracker sheet here. This is in Microsoft Word format. So when I open this up, you'll see that there are goals and choices. And you can type notes in here, and you can type a status. For example, you could say I've not started this particular goal or this choice, or I've started it, or I'm learning it, or I'm proficient, or I could even teach others. What articles or videos have you watched and are familiar with? And as well as some instructor tips, some extra guidelines for people teaching the classes. So the tracker is downloadable. If you have a Macintosh, you'll need Pages or some other way to read this as well. So remember that you can type in and save your particular notes and so forth. So it gives you a good way to keep track of what you've been doing. So back to the United States. Let's go to the country there, and we can go to any of these states here in the United States, and we'll get a similar type of a page. For example, California. Explore research in California. You've got your goals, choices, and so forth, with links to articles and videos. And one thing that's different here is you'll see a list of what we call quick links. And quick links are designed to take you directly to the search screens for particular record collections. For example, I'm in the California page. Suppose I wanted to know what type of records are available in Ancestry.com for California. All I do is I click that page, and I'm immediately taken to the California search page for Ancestry.com. You'll notice I didn't have to wind my way through a series of ancestry menus. Going back, I could do the same thing for family search, and with one click, I'm taken to the Family Search California search page. So this helps your journey be more efficient, one of those 3 E's that we were talking about. On the right side of the bar here, we have websites. So not only can you search and get to records very quickly, but suppose you wanted a website dedicated to California research. You would click that, Kindred Trails, for example, and here you have a website all about California research. So you have a wealth of resources at your fingertips or mouse click with websites and record searches. You even have counties here. You can click California counties. You go to the bottom of the page. If you wanted to do some research in Alameda County, click that and you're taken to the Alameda County page for family search or looking into records that reside within that county. The A stands for ancestry. Same type of thing. You're taken to the ancestry county search pages for records. Okay, let's go back up to the beginning here. And let's go back to the United States. So going down into the goals and choices here, you'll notice that the United States is such a large topic. There is so much information and things to learn about U.S. research. So we've broken it into different parts here. There is part A, which basically deals with records, geographies, regions, and so forth. Part B, vital records. C, census. D, immigration. E, military records. And F, other records. So if I wanted to learn more about vital records, I would go here and you've got an introduction, then you've got your birth, adoption, marriage, death, cemetery records, and so forth. If I go to census, I can learn about the census and then I can start exploring U.S. Census records by decades, 1940, 1930, 20, and so on and so forth, back in time to the first census. Immigration, you've got naturalization, immigration, passenger lists, and so on and so forth. Military records, an overview, and then you start exploring military records by conflict, Revolutionary War, Civil War, World War I, World War II, and so forth. And then other records, this is a variety of religious, church, travel records, migration, and so forth. So that's basically how the US page is divided into goals and choices there. So that takes us through the United States, and we've talked about quick links. Let's show the quick links for the United States. These are a little bit more broad. There's quite a few things here. So we have US Census records. You can directly click on any of these. There are immigration records, military, and so forth. These are all family search. Then we get into ancestry, and we've got other records here. And just go to a year, and basically you can click and view those search for record sources there. Very handy. The quick links are one of the more popular features of the Family History Guide because you don't have to spend the time Googling around or trying to remember now, how would I get to that? It's all organized very succinctly in the Family History Guide. Quick links are also available in other countries. So if I were at England and I click on quick links here, I go down here and I find out, I could try the 1911 England and Wales census. It's just that fast. Clicking and you're there. So that's a brief look at countries and ethnic, but what I want to do now is go down to the bottom, give you a quick overview of the different ethnic groups. African American, for example, we click that and we've got our goals and choices here. Getting started with African American research, library, slavery resources, breaking through barriers, and so forth in your African American research. Same type of thing with other ethnic groups, Asian Americans, Hispanic, Jewish, and Native American as well. One thing you'll find down at the very bottom of the page is a donate button. And as you know, we are funded by donations, and some of these come from individual people who just like the Family History Guide and they can make a small donation online. Others we get from corporations, foundations, and so forth. But we're very careful not to overstep our bounds and try to be too forward about asking for money. And you won't see advertisements on the page. We're dedicated to providing this content for free and just covering our expenses the best that we can to provide future development efforts. All right, I think that pretty much winds us through the Family History Guide. Going back to the home here, remember you can use this series of tabs across the top to navigate to where you need to. And once inside, you'll encounter submenus that help you get to where you need to go. Projects specifically, you've got your 9 projects here, and you can get to any one of them that you need to. And within a project, you've got lists of goals and choices and steps that help you learn what you need to learn. And you can get to top and bottom that way. And that, I think, pretty much wraps it up. So with that, I would encourage you to share the Family History Guide with others who haven't seen it. There are a lot of people out there who would be involved in family history, but they don't know where to turn or don't know where to go. They think it's too difficult. They think they don't have time, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of excuses, but the Family History Guide basically helps break down those excuses. It helps people get involved with family history and stay involved with family history. We've got some exciting partnerships in the works with Family Search. We are currently in the portal in Family History Centers. We are working on some additional possibilities. Family Search is very excited about what we offer. We bring a very simple and quick and easy way for people to get into family history, and particularly to connect with Family Search, Family Tree, and other things in Family Search, finding articles and videos and so forth in a very quick and direct way. So they're very excited about what they're doing, and they're lending their support. With that, I'll turn it back over to Brady.
Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. I loved it. I'm definitely excited about the new website. We do have a couple of questions so far, and if you do have any other questions, feel free to write those into the chat box now. But the first one is, for Slovenia research, what would be the closest Eastern European country would apply?
Okay, I'm not able to see the box. Hold on just a second. Let me. Yeah, for some reason I'm not blocked. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, for Slovenia research, what would be the closest Eastern European country would apply?
Now, was that Sylvania or Pennsylvania?
Sloven Slovenia. Yeah, sorry
Slo
about that.
Okay, yeah. For Slovenian, um, actually, that is a good question, and we do have in countries and ethnic, probably Slovakia, which is next to it, or the Czech Republic, and you could try either of those. Those might be some good hints as well. And while I'm on that subject, I might mention that we do have some collector pages here. For example, Eastern Europe Miscellaneous. If you click that, you're going to get goals and choices about Belarus, Serbia, Estonia, Moldova. These are countries that don't have enough information to provide their own country page in the Family History Guide, but we collect some of those smaller information countries together where you're able to use them in one central place.
Okay, and then we have another comment here. It says, there's so much information, it's fabulous. How will you keep it current since resources are changing daily?
That is a golden question. So basically, we do feel that it's very important to keep things up to date. We don't want to let the website go stale. So part of it is we have link checkers that go through the website, automatic software to report any broken links. We also have groups of people that give us feedback on a regular basis, and you are certainly welcome to join that group. Send us emails if there are links or things or articles that you know about that you would like to have included in the Family History Guide. Um, by all means, share those with us, but we are constantly on the lookout for the best in information on the web. We've been building this resource for probably about 15, 16 months now. And while it's a lot of work, we know that it needs to stay current and it needs to stay interesting. And so that's what we're dedicated to keeping the site up to date with the best content so that everybody has a good experience with it.
If there's any other questions, feel free to write those into the chat box now. We'd like to thank Bob again for his really blessed to be able to have someone like Bob come and present for us here. We'd like to remind everybody that these webinars are being recorded and you can watch them later on our BYU Family History Library website as well as on our YouTube channel. And we encourage you to subscribe and follow us on social media on Facebook and on Twitter. And um, like Bob said, next Wednesday, the November 16th at 6 p.m., we will be doing another webinar on the Family History Guide, and we would encourage you to join us then.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll see you next time.